Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and if you want to hear me rant about anything, then talk with me. If you're a Patreon, just donate whatever amount you want to, and then have a conversation with me on the Discord. Everyone will be able to see that you're a Patreon, and we can just chit-chat about what I'm going to chit-chat about in the next video. And this rant is actually going to be from a big Patreon. We've got Vasarati. I know we collaborated a ton of times, and probably a ton more. Well, the rant today is going to be talking, it's a little bit vague, but maybe perhaps we are going to be talking about the idea of people who are looking for one game to rule them all within a specific genre. And as soon as I read that Vasarati wanted me to make this rant, I don't know, it kind of hit close to home, kind of stabbed me in the chest a little bit. I was like, ow, Vas, you know I do specifically list videos as my reviews, right? In other words, I literally do have number ones, and I literally do compare every single game. So actually, Vasarati has a tweet here, I guess they wanted to do a rant video. I don't know if they're going to do it after this one, but I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings on this, which I've got some feelings. I don't know if you can hear that, but Vasarati says here, I guess I'll just print screen this and share it with you. When I hashtag game review, I look at it by itself, instead of comparing it to other games for the sake of competition. When I review an hashtag action RPG like Guardians of Ember, which is, by the way, we actually just did a couple episodes collaborating on that. So overall, pretty fun game, even though I am sponsored hashtag. I review it as a action RPG, MMO light, and I ask, is this viable in this genre? And could it fit into another genre? And is it fun? To clarify, I don't like this idea of finding the next Diablo killer or WoW killer. And I think that's really where Vasarati is hitting home here, is the idea of like, okay, is it better than the most popular in this specific genre? Most companies just want to make a game, something they can love, that they created a story for. It's usually not about poaching the competition. And in case anyone's miffed about giving GOE praise, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much, I totally get where Vasarati is coming from, and I totally understand why they would want me to do this video. I am quite excited, you better believe it, but I do list videos, and I think right now I gotta kind of show where I am, on what side of the fence I'm on. And I would actually dare say, much more close to Vasarati than some of you might think, than I even thought initially reading this. But the thing is, I mean, just like, yes, I do 10 through 1, and I do literally mean it. When I say a game is number 10, I generally mean it is the worst at that subject matter for what I am specifically talking about. And of course, you should probably listen to the words I say during those reviews. And yes, top 10s are reviews, but yeah, number 1, I do mean it. I do think it is the best game, but best game is not always the most popular game, in my opinion, and the most popular game in any one genre, such as like World of Warcraft, is debatably the most popular MMO. I almost never put World of Warcraft as my number 1 MMO. For a couple of reasons. And a lot of people would put Final Fantasy XIV very high on their MMO lists, where even though I can acknowledge it is a good game, if I just did MMOs that are like good games, it would be very high, but I'm ranking it based on MMO. I'm ranking it based on what makes an MMO special? Its massivity. And at the moment, World of Warcraft has kind of reeled back, since vanilla, dialed back the massivity of its content. It's really more of a dungeon diver. Final Fantasy XIV exemplifies that. It is. I honestly, I want to debate if Final Fantasy XIV even is an MMO, because I haven't seen the MMO content. What I would put as number 1 MMO, I would put something like, honestly, like RuneScape or Guild Wars 2. Even though both those games can be played almost literally solo, it doesn't mean you're playing alone. So Guild Wars 2 has like the biggest, most epic, the best open world giant, MMO siege monster fights. It's also got really good open world PvP. At least with the world versus world, it's okay. Elder Scrolls Online might be a little bit better, but Elder Scrolls Online also is it's pretty cool. Like, it's PvP, but its combat's a little clunky. Things like that. You can rate overall, like, as a game and gameplay, how good it is, and say, well, Elder Scrolls Online is definitely better than frickin' RuneScape. Its polish is off the charts compared to it. But in terms of MMO specific mechanics, Elder Scrolls actually, it's hit or miss. You know, some of the quests really don't work in terms of story cooperatively, even though I thought the introduction was fucking genius. They really dropped the ball with a lot of the quests being very solo focused, if not completely solo focused. Yet at the same time, those quests are amazing. So that's where I'm coming from when I rate games, and especially MMOs. You know, like WoW. We're talking about what game is better than WoW. What's the WoW killer? I think almost the secret is every MMO is the WoW killer. Because every MMO probably does something a little bit different and debatably a little bit better than World of Warcraft. It's just World of Warcraft as a package was pretty cohesive, but as an MMO, just because it's the most popular MMO doesn't mean it has the most or best MMO gameplay. It happens to be an MMO, it happens to be one of the best games in that genre, but if, you know, me, how I do my list videos, how I review, and how I think in my brain, and I think how probably a lot of people think, if not most people, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, special, I don't know. It doesn't have the best MMO gameplay, and I think that when we're talking about the next WoW killer, we're talking about something that can bring back the magic of the OG vanilla World of Warcraft. You know, the open world questing, you know, the world building, the unique classes, at least the systems that were in place, the very unique balance and feel of vanilla World of Warcraft that was a PvEvP game that was still a theme park game at the same time, you know, just kind of revamped and re-envisioned. Because we had WildStar that was supposedly a 2.0 World of Warcraft, but it wasn't. It was a 2.0 modern World of Warcraft. That's different. Modern World of Warcraft is not as much an MMO as vanilla World of Warcraft, in my opinion. Now, hopefully you guys have played all these games. You know, we have games like Blade and Soul and Terra, and they do amazing action combat and have good graphics, or, you know, there's so many things you can promote about these games, but do they have really good MMO gameplay? No, they got good dungeons. Are dungeons unique to MMOs? No, I do not think so. Not at all. There's a bunch of dungeon divers, action RPG, cooperative games, Monster Hunter. Fuck, you know, there's so many cool games out there that we can compare them to. And that's what I would do. I would do top 10 dungeon divers, top 10 siege MMO, which actually I think I need to do both of those, top 10 raiding games. And I will do hyper-specific lists, and even if the title isn't hyper-specific, throughout the list video, I make it very apparent I am ranking it based on this specific thing. And I think that's how, when we have these conversations, we should talk about games. So if we think like a WoW killer, or if we think like a Diablo killer, or, you know, like I guess a Fortnite killer, which some people think Apex is in ways it is, like it objectively is like a better gunplay. It is a better shooter. Is it a better battle royale though? I don't know. It is definitely a better shooter, 100%. In terms of shooting mechanics, it has better gunplay. But also at the same time, it's a first-person shooter. And at the same time, it doesn't have the building mechanics. And how you aim and move your mouse and how you move your character, the mechanics of building in Fortnite, actually makes it a really mechanical game in terms of the aiming, which I guess you could classify as the shooting, which means it's in basically a totally different category. And if you get into the little nitty-gritty and you start to realize that words can have multiple meanings and people can mean different things at different times, and gameplay can change so radically between, you know, moment to moment and person to person, and how you play it, which it's really hard to talk about games. Basically, it's really hard to talk about games. It's hard to digest and consume games. It's fucking impossible to review video games. And I think more than any other genre of reviews, like anime or movies, video games are the most toxic, and the community is the most clashing with beliefs, I think. So yeah, I totally see, Vasarati, where you're coming from. I feel you, I got you, and I totally kind of get it. I believe it. I don't think people should be really looking for the next WoW killer. I don't think there should be this idea of crushing competition, or that. I think it's a little bit toxic to kind of imagine that. But at the same time, there is something I think beautiful about competition, and I think it is very healthy. And I think that as long as we, instead of just thinking, oh, I want to totally destroy this game, as long as you think, oh, I want to support this title, I'm going to kickstart this game, or I'm going to make this game because I want to do this specific thing, I want to create this specific art. And yes, it is in vain of this game, which is actually how World of Warcraft came about, in vain of some things EverQuest was doing. But if you played EverQuest and you played World of Warcraft, you know that, yeah, they have many similarities, but there's also many differences. So yeah, no, World of Warcraft came out to be like that. League of Legends came out to be because of Dota. There's tons of games that came out because of competition, for the sake of competition, in vain, in the spirit of, but that depends on I guess, the perspective. Is it in spirit? Is it in, vain? Competition. That it's, you gotta watch your words, which kind of sucks on YouTube, but I don't care. I'm not watching my words. I'm just ranting. I'm just making up words. But anyways, yeah. Is there a WoW killer? Once again, every MMO is a WoW killer in its own little horrible way, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful way, That's how I've been able to enjoy and play all these different games, and that's why I have this wealth of experience, because I look at certain games with a little bit, as harsh as I can be, as teethy as I can be, with a little bit of positivity in, okay, what can it do uniquely? And that's where I prize most games, for their uniqueness, their specialty, and how it can make me feel differently compared to other games. Not just better, but yeah, in the end, there is still that conversation. What is the better game? And if a game is more popular and whatnot, but I guess I'll just end cap by saying this. When we talk about a game like a WoW killer or a Fortnite killer, there is actually meaning in that, just a little bit. If you look at popularity, because if something is popular, if something is high grossing, if it's making a lot of money, if it's trending, things like that, it can change how other games are made. And so that's why people are kind of want a champion to come out with, something that it sort of supports our beliefs as gamers, and it's more consumer friendly and more fair, which, as an example, World of Warcraft is not very consumer friendly. It is a very expensive game that is overly grindy, so that you spend more money. Fortnite as well has pretty good free-to-play monetization. Its Battle Pass thing, which they ripped from Dota, seems okay too, but it implements so many toxic, I guess just little tiny toxic sort of addiction pulling mechanics inside of their cash app, such as the fact that it has a rotation daily instead of just being able to buy whatever you want whenever you want. Same thing with loot boxes, things like that. So we're slowly getting better and better games, I think, and in a way, but we're also having worse and worse ways of playing those games and consuming those games. And so I think, especially with online games, MMOs especially, that's why we're so adamant about, okay, we need a WoW killer, because WoW's expensive. WoW is super expensive. Hearthstone is another one. We need something to beat Hearthstone, because Jesus Christ, this game is ridiculous. Then again, all card games are kind of ridiculous. So these conversations, I think, are healthy. I don't think we should just shut them down, but in my opinion, when we are talking about these things, we should celebrate what those games do well, and then talk about other games and how they do directly compete with that, because some games do things objectively bigger and better and more appropriately for their housed genre. And genres, in my opinion, which you should know about me, are super duper freaking important. If an MMO, it calls itself an MMO and it kind of has some MMO mechanics, well, the game that does those things bigger and better is objectively, in my opinion, a better MMO. Even if the rest of the game has maybe lesser graphics, maybe you don't like the combat system, maybe it's not as popular, but that's just how I think. So, depending on how literally you take people talking about WoW killers or not, you could be offended, you can get hurt, you can get emotional, and I think it's fine to argue. But let's keep it open-ended. That's all I'm saying, is let's have a debate. Let's not just throw out something like, no, that game can't, or that game can, or that game will. It's that's the WoW killer. This is the upcoming WoW killer. And then somebody's like, no, you can't even talk about WoW killers. That just doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. That's not, well, I hate when people do that. I think that, I don't know, there's some sort of middle ground that we can have here about this. It can be healthy, actually. Can a game kill another game, or can it rise above for one reason or another? Yes, because it's literally happened. Consistently. The biggest games today, which are World of Warcraft, Fortnite, League of Legends, these titles were literally spawned directly from the idea of the inspiration, or in vain, of its competition. So, yeah, as supporters, as consumers of these titles, yeah, we should debate it. We should talk about it. And, we should maybe try to convince our friends to play one game or the other, where to spend our time, what game we're going to play. Have that fight, and have it good, and have some fun with it. That's what it's all about. So I did my words. I said some things. I don't even know if I really came to a proper conclusion, but maybe. Now it's your turn in the comments below. And again, if you want to hear me rant about anything, because I got a lot of spillage of the mouth, sewage flow through, Well, go to Patreon. Become a Patreon. Any amount will do. You'll get a Patreon status on Discord. Join us on Discord, and let's talk about it. Let's rant about it, and then I'll bring it to the tubes. Again, thanks, Vaserati, for being a sponsor. Very, very much. Much love. And I will see you in the next one.